Good night, World. This is Ivan O'Mara. Hope you guys enjoyed my show I made earlier this afternoon. Did you write there, Unique Ivan? Yes, I did. I did, obviously. Are you impressed there, Unique? Yes, I am. The book is good. It's entertaining, but it's not Zanus. I read through it. I'm like, yeah, even though this is very entertaining, it's not Zanus, right? I think it'll be a masterpiece. Don't forget, it's a romance genre, right? Romance does not really act. There's no action scenes, not much action scenes. There's no action scenes in romance, so it's tougher to entertain. Romance is obviously tougher for in terms of entertainment because it's romance, obviously. So I have to try to find a way to keep it entertaining. But I read it so far. I wrote on my notebook. I wrote 2 pages. It's entertaining shit. Well, it's not Zanus. I'll show you what I wrote down today. It's not Zanus. It's good. I like the story so far, but it's not Zanus. That's my point, right? Yeah. You'll see the ending of what I wrote there. There's a part when they're singing the tune of a Pacific artist in the car. Yeah, you know in the romance stories when they do that. Yeah, you'll see how everyone read it. I'll show you guys in like 50 minutes. So I'm going to show us all of chapter 1. Yeah, I'll show you all of chapter 1, what I wrote down, and that's it. All the other chapters, I'll give you a sneak preview of my whole chapter 1, and all the other chapters I'm not going to show you. If I write it, though, I might not complete their unique. I might hold off on it. I don't know. So far, I've been writing, I don't know, 5 days in a row. I just got to write 2 pages a day, right? Yeah. 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 Sorry, guys. That's gross. You think their unique is good? I read over it. It's good quality. It's quality art, but it's not Zanus. That's my point, right? It's not Zanus, obviously, because it's romance, right? Romance. It's tougher to entertain the audience with romance than it is with fantasy. Because fantasy, you can have action scenes, a villain, whereas romance, it's just you have to really find a way to progress the story. You have to find a way to entertain the fan, the reader, with just romantic, non-action stuff. Romance is more drama, but it's only the beginning of my story, so I'm trying my best to keep you guys entertained. But I mean, I know their unique will not live up to the hype of Zanus. Obviously, it won't be as good as Zanus. I know that for a fact. I can't. Zanus is so good, I can't top what I wrote. I just can't top that, man. So I'm saying, I know him. I'll show you guys what I wrote. I hope you guys like it so far, and yeah. So I'm now into the part when they're heading to Grill House for the interview when Louis interviews Dawn, and Dawn finds out that Megan owns the place as a surprise, obviously. And after that, they talk about there's a party at the Elmer Marina Beach. There's an Elmer Marina Beach party, and I'm gonna end it there. It transfers a couple hours later. It's like 3 o'clock, and now you get Josh's story, obviously, working at Love and Bar in Elmer. Yeah. And he walks in on his friend Jake fucking a chick in his apartment. That's my idea for the story. You're a genius, I know. Yeah. Is their unique a bit raw too? Yes, it is. You guys caught a bit of stiffness in my dialogue too with their unique too, obviously. Yo, Ivan, you're gifted, but you're a little bit raw in your writing. Yes, because I don't have an editor, obviously. All these famous authors have the best editors in business who polish up their manuscript. But even though they have the best editors in business who polish up their manuscript, you don't get the same feeling reading those books compared to my book. My book feels more fresh in those books, who are edited by the best editors in business, by the way. Don't forget that. Don't hate them saying, yeah. Because they don't have the heavenly creative gift. They don't have the gift of God like me, obviously. Bees Ivan, I love their yeah, their unique is amazing, but it's not Zetas. I'm sorry, guys. If you guys are expecting their unique to be as good as Zane's, you're going to be disappointed. It will be a letdown to Zane compared to Zane's, but my goal is to hopefully write up if I write their unique a masterpiece, but it will not be as good as Zane's. That's my point, right? Yeah. So if the book is not good, I'm not going to release it. I'll know how good the book is by the time I'm like on chapter 4, chapter 5, halfway point. The story's not really going anywhere and it's not progressing, and I might just call it quits. I'll just put their link aside and I'll just focus on Zetas. Yeah. Or I have to go back and make some changes, obviously, to the story. Because I have the Heavenly Greater Good, something tells me it will be a masterpiece too, but cross my fingers. We'll see what happens as I write. Some Sarah? Yeah. Well, I'm pitching the story in my head, yeah. If I turn this into a movie, you're also looking at a masterpiece too. So far at the beginning of their unique, yeah, I mean that's a masterpiece. Yes, I see him. Yeah, I read their unique. I see a masterpiece so far for what I've read. Yeah, it's an amazing story, but it's not Zane's, guys. That's my point. Zane's is a better read than their unique. Zane's is so good, I can't top that. I just can't. I can try my best to make their unique as best as I can, and will not beat. It just can't beat Zane's. Epic romance cannot beat epic fantasy, especially if your fantasy book is a masterpiece like Zanus. Can't beat that, man. Can't beat Zanus. But my goal is to hopefully write a masterpiece too for their unique. Guys, some Sarah. Yeah. Yeah. show you guys a snippet in a sec. A sneak peek of my chapter 1 of Very Unique, obviously. Oh, I want you to for Zanes. No, I already did that for Zanes for Young Tactius. You guys read the first 6 pages of Young Tactius. But for Zanes, I don't want to spoil so I'm not going to do that for Zanes while I show you the whole chapter. No. I don't want to spoil so for you. For Zanes is too special. You guys will see what happens when you purchase my book, obviously. But Very Unique, I don't mind showing you the first chapter of it. I hope you guys enjoy it. Hope you guys enjoy what I showed you so far. I'm trying my best here. I hope it's good enough to entertain you, but I mean, we'll see what happens, obviously, right? When I keep writing. Very unique. Why do you have a goal? Yeah, I write 2 pages every day for Very Unique. I want to write 5. No, I don't want to stress myself out. I could write 5 pages, but it's just too stressing. For Very Unique, I'll just do 2 pages a day. Take it slow with Very Unique. Whereas for Zanes, I grinded like 5 pages every day for like 11 months, 10, 11 months. Sarah? I mean, how do you know you're doing a good job with Very Unique? If you read it and you're hooked and you want to know more, then you're doing your job, obviously. As long as you're keeping the reader hooked and they're interested in the story, they're engaged and they want to know more, then your book is a good book. Whereas if they're bored and they don't want to read it, then you're not doing your job, obviously, as an author, obviously. Yeah. But I'm scared, like, man, did I lose my touch for Very Unique? I remember when I wrote it off the top of my head in class, obviously. But what I did was I read what I wrote like 8 years ago in college, and I continued reading what I continued off the story. I did not see a dip in quality. It's still the same quality, obviously. So I did not lose my touch. Obviously, some Sarah. Yeah. But Very Unique is just an afterthought, right? If the story's not, if I keep writing and I'm not satisfied with the story, I just won't release it. I'll just focus on polishing up Zanus. I know Zanus is a masterpiece. I'll polish up Zanus, finish up volume 3, and I'm done. Zanus, obviously. Sorry. But so far, I've been writing 5 pages, 5 days in a row for Zanus. So I'm obviously consistent with my writing for Very Unique. If you just write 2 pages a day, Ivan, in like 4 months, 3 months, you'll finish your book. I don't know, mid-January next year and January next year, you'll finish. It just depends how long my Very Unique story is. I'll finish the book in like 3-4 months. I'll finish the book. How long do you think it'll be, Ivan? I don't know. If I end up writing Very Unique on both my notebooks, this is 140 pages on the notebook. So if I end up writing Very Unique on both notebooks, you're looking at like a 280 page novel on the computer. But then when the proofreader edits it, that's like a 500, maybe 50 page novel. Not as long as Zane's, but it's a long romance. 500 pages for a romance novel is long. Most romance novels peak at 300 pages around there. Whereas fantasy peaks at fantasy minimum is maybe 300 pages, and it can peak at like 1,000 pages. Fantasy 800 pages. My book is about 800 pages. My book is 800 pages for Zanus. Very Unique, if I end up writing the whole book on both my notebooks, it'll be like a 550 page romance novel. So it'll be a very, very long romance novel. Because I'm a creative genius, the 500 pages will fly by. You're going to be hooked reading, obviously. Or the book is terrible. I don't release it. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I hope you guys impressed by what I'm about to show you. And yeah, Sarah. Yeah, it won't be long. I'll talk for maybe, I don't know, 45, 50 minutes. I'm done. I'm tired. Watch show with you guys, and after I'm gonna watch some Perry Stone, who's my favorite preacher, by the way. And I'll watch some Nia Tooth. Nia Tooth made like a 13-minute strength theory vlog. I'll watch that, obviously. And I'll watch maybe a few other stuff. I'm gonna eat my food, drink my beer while I watch show with you guys, and I'm gonna eat my Denny's food. I'm gonna go to bed. My amazing Denny's food, obviously. Yeah. Yeah. You think there's some fans who might have not liked their unique? Maybe, yeah. There might be some fans who are like, yeah, like their unique is a letdown. It's not Zanus. I agree. If you compare their unique to Zanus, it is a bit of a letdown because I can't top what I wrote for Zanus. Zanus is just too good. But my prayer is I hope you guys are also entertained by my their unique romance story. That's my point, right? Even though it's not Zanus, as long as it's entertaining, that's what's good, right? It's entertaining enough to keep you hooked and turning the page, obviously. But I went over my their unique book yesterday. I read like all of what I wrote down, and I was hooked. I was hooked reading it. So I'm like, yeah, I was hooked. I'm not hooked the way I read Zanus, but I was hooked reading it. And I'm like, this is still sick, take shit. Because it's romance, and for romance, no, there's not really much going on except for just lovey stuff and conversations, like everyday conversations. So it's tougher in that sense to keep the reader engaged and entertained compared to epic fantasy where you have like the devil wolves and you have, you know what I'm saying, the action scenes and the magic systems, all that stuff, right? That's easier to enter. It's easier to entertain fantasy than it is than romance, obviously, because romance is just drama. There's not really much going on, so you have to really find a way to progress the story and keep the reader engaged and entertained. That's my point, right? When you read romance, obviously, that's my more of my struggle with their unique. I have to constantly find a way to keep you guys engaged because it's romance. There's no action in it. It's just a little bit of drama here and there, and it's just everyday people conversations. So you have to try to find a way to keep the reader hooked and engaged. Obviously, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, right. There is swearing in your book. Yes, there is. So far, they swore like 3, 4 times in my book. To make it more realistic, you have to have swearing in your romance story, Ivan. Whereas Zane's, there's no swearing in it. I don't want there to be any swearing there any because if you put swearing in it, it takes away. I find swearing in a fantasy novel, the moment you have swearing in a fantasy novel, you're now Americanizing your fantasy world. That's why I believe they call George R. R. Martin the American Tolkien because Game of Thrones is kind of like Americanized fantasy because there's just so much sex in it. You have all these whores, and they swear left and right in it. If you do that, your fantasy will become more Americanized. I did not want my Zane's book to be Americanized. I want it to be more like Lord of the Rings. They just say ass in my book and bitch. That's it. Lord of the Rings, I believe they say ass in Lord of the Rings too. I don't believe they say bitch in it though, or do they in Lord of the Rings? I don't remember. I know the word ass is used in Lord of the Rings, I believe, but not bitch. The only big words in my book are bitch and ass. That's it. I don't use any swear words in it because I want it to be more like Tolkien, whereby it makes your fantasy world feel. If the moment you have F words in your world, I find your fantasy will become more Americanized, like George R. Martin's Game of Thrones. That's why they call him the American Tolkien, because Game of Thrones is like an Americanized version of fantasy. Because there's a bunch of so much swearing in it with the F word, and there's a bunch of so much sex in it left and right from the show. Right, the show has a lot of nudity and a lot of sex. Obviously, hence why it's like an Americanized version of fantasy. That's why they call George R. Martin the American Tolkien. Obviously, yeah. Samsara, yeah. I was just saying, yeah. Ivan, you're a genius. I know, Ivan. That's a good point. Yes. There's no F words in Zanus. No, there isn't. There's no swearing in Zanus. They just say the word ass, and they use the word bitch, I think, maybe twice in the book, and they use the word ass a few times. That's it. Obviously. Bitch and ass, that's it. In my Zanus book. Whereas They're Unique, there is swearing in it, but for They're Unique, it's fine to use swearing because it's in the modern day, in modern times. And everybody in the world swears. So if you want to make your book more realistic, you have to have swearing in it. That way, it makes it feel more believable. Whereas if there is no swearing in it, your book is not that believable. There's also swearing in the proposal too, I believe. Yeah, proposal has swearing in it too, because that makes your world more believable. Because everyone in the modern days swears, man. All the adults, they all swear. Oh, everyone swears, right? Yeah, everybody swears. That's how you make it more believable, obviously. Samsara? Yeah, so I'll show you what I wrote today. Today I wrote this, and I wrote the scene here, and this. So I wrote 2 pages. Yeah. Oops. This is my notes for chapter 1, brainstorming, and this is what I wrote so far. My previous snippets, I wrote it all on this paper when I didn't have my notebook, but now because I have a notebook, I'm not going to be using this piece of paper anymore. The blank sheet of paper, I'll be using my notebook, obviously. And I'll be writing all my chapter notes on my notebook too. Obviously. So I write chapter 1, and once I write chapter 1, I write my chapter 2 notes. And then I go over that and I write chapter 2. Let's see. Meeting Josh at the Elmer Marina Beach Party. That's chapter 2. Okay, so I'll show you guys what I wrote down so far. I hope you guys enjoy. If it's not Zanus, guys, I'm sorry. I'm letting you guys know They're Unique, even though it's entertaining shit, I believe anyways, one I've read, it's not Zanus. Because I can't top what I did for Zanus. It's romance. It's tougher to entertain, for me personally, the reader with romance, because not really much is going on. There's no action, there's no villain, there's no big evil wolf villain. It's tougher to entertain. Yeah, Ryan, didn't you say that it's tougher to write a fast novel than a romance novel? Yes, it is. It is tougher to write a fantasy novel than it is writing a romance novel in terms of building your own fictional world and everything. But in terms of entertainment, fantasy, in my opinion, is obviously a little easier because you have the villain, you have your magic system, you have action sequences, you have magic systems in your story, obviously. Whereas romance, you don't have any of that. It's just like everyday people just living their life, talking and meeting people. It's tougher to entertain, obviously. Because I'm a creative genius, I know how to entertain you guys. But I hope you guys are satisfied with what I show you. What I wrote down today. I hope you guys like it. I'm going to show you guys what I wrote down. I just finished it 30 minutes ago. I just finished typing on the computer. Yeah. I'll show you guys. Hope you guys like it. I enjoyed it, but it's not Zanus, guys. Don't hate him, son. It's not Zanus. lights on.